Hey guys, it's Kyla at the MJC, and today we're going to go through the legal custody section of the modification motion. As always, before I get started with the substantive part of the video though, I just want to remind you guys that nothing in this video is intended to be legal advice. It's a video, so I can't analyze your specific situation to determine if this form is right for your situation, if what you're asking for is something a court can approve, or if what you're asking for is your best interest, or anything like that. So if you do have those kinds of questions, we definitely recommend that you get some legal advice. Here in Milwaukee County, you can do that through the Marquette Volunteer Legal Clinics. If you're not located in Milwaukee County, you can contact the clerk of court for your county to find out what resources are available in your area. All right, so we're going to hop into this section talking about legal custody. Now, before I get started, I just want to clarify that in Wisconsin, when we talk about legal custody, we are just talking about decision-making power, getting to decide where your child goes to school, who their doctor is, what religion they are, whether they can join the military, if they can have a passport, those sorts of things. So I know a lot of people, especially, if you've ever watched TV, they often use the term custody to mean where the child lives or spends time. But this section is just talking about decision-making power. If what you want to do is talk about where the child lives or spends time, or if you want to talk about both decision-making and where the child spends time, where they live, make sure that you do the placement section. The placement section is the one that talks about where the child lives and spends time. This section just talks about decision-making power. Okay, so with that little warning out of the way, the legal custody section. So if you're going to be filling out the custody section, you'll check box B. If you don't want to talk about decision-making power, then you don't need to check B and you can skip on to the next section. So we'll check B. Here you're going to put the name of the child or children that you want to change the decision-making power for. So the example child we've been using is Sally Smith. Again, if you have multiple children, so if you have 2 kids or 3 kids or 4 kids, you'll just put whatever children you want this to apply to. So if there are 2, we could list 2. If you have multiple children, if you have 2 kids or 3 kids or whatever, but you only want to change the decision making for one of them, then you only need to list the child that you want this order that you're asking for to apply to. So we'll go ahead and say that John and Jane want this to apply to both in this case. And then you have 3 options for what to check. You can check 1. So 1 is if you already have a case where one parent or the other has sole legal custody. So that means one parent or the other has all of the decision-making power. If you want it now to be where both parents are allowed to make major decisions, you'll check 1. If you have a situation where both parents are able to make decisions and you now want one parent or the other to make all of the decisions, then you'll check 2. And you'll put the name of the parent that you want to be able to make those decisions. So we know John is filling this out if he wants to say only he can make decisions about where Sally and Susie go to school or who their doctor is, or if he wants to get a passport for them without Jane signing off. That would be sole decision making here. There is also a third box that is here. So other isn't used very much, but this would be most commonly used. So if one of these 2 doesn't fit your situation, you'll use other. And it's going to be most commonly used for things maybe where you want specific decision making in one situation. So for example, we might say, parties to have joint custody about we'll say school decisions, but John to have sole custody about all other major decisions. So this is where that obviously doesn't fit cleanly into either of these categories because they want it to be joint for some things, but sole for others. So that could be an example of why you might be using this. So other's not used very often, but it could be in your situation. So we'll go ahead and we'll say that in this situation, John wants to go to joint legal custody, that before it used to be Sol with Jane, and now he wants both of them to be able to make decisions. All right, well, that's all for the legal custody section. I will be back in a bit, which for you guys may be instantaneous because these videos go in order, to talk about child support. But for now, I hope you guys all are able to go out and represent yourselves well.